Hey guys, Minty here. So I'm making a quick video to basically solidify the claims that Tobi Majestic is a liar, mass manipulator to not only her fans and her so-called shady friends, also people who detract from her blatant hypocrisy and bullshit. I just want to make this video to basically be the nail in the coffin. Also, all the proof that I have is going to be available in a Google Doc as well as an additional file to kind of solidify and back up everything that I am saying to prove that, unlike Tobi, I actually have receipts to call for, honey. Call me the cashier. Also, any of the screenshots that may have their names blurred out, it is simply because A, there's somebody who requested to have their name blurred out, or B, they are a minor and I don't feel comfortable exposing people's minors who have made dumb decisions based on adults peer pressuring them into essentially following into something that they shouldn't be into to basically ruin their lives. And I actually personally know one of the minors who was caught up in this. So I want to be as safe protecting them as possible because, like Tobi tries to claim, we want to protect the kids, right? Anyway, also don't go after her. Don't go after her, don't go after her fans, because most of her fans are underage kids who she's using to manipulate and create a mass army with. Some of her friends are underage, quote unquote, and some of her friends are just as scummy as her, and they have been doing just as sus stuff that she has not called out whatsoever, which we'll get into this video. But overall, I just don't want to provide more hate. I want to do this video, be done, go back to my anime community, because I walked into the Western art community for 2 seconds because a mutual friend introduced me in, and I walked out about the same time I walked back in because these niggas are crazy. So without further ado, let's get into it. So full disclosure, the person we're talking about who was basically just bamboozled by Tobi and her friends was a person who I personally have been pretty good friends with, and I consider him to be a very good person. I know he has a pretty extensive history on YouTube and the art sphere. I just feel personally he's a good person to me, and I wanted to defend him in the best way possible because he came to me about it very troubled, very just anxiety was driven, and I really wanted to help him because I knew some of these people and I knew some of their history, so I was like, why not utilize it? So this all basically started with Tobi, Toasty, Slimsurz, FuschsiaButter, Madlibs, and the whole little clique. They called themselves the Fruitcake Clique at the time, basically going after an artist and creator known as Ben the Looney. And they made it so that he couldn't draw this character from a show named OKKO, where they were doing something along the lines of eating the booty like groceries, is the best way I could describe it. Also, it was very ironic to me already that this is something that initially supposedly based on Toasty Vanilla's statement as well as Ben the Looney, and I got screenshots from both, which I'm posting up here. It was basically one of those things where it was a private Discord discussion. Mind you, it was kind of scummy because they were trying to jump on him, but essentially it was something that was supposed to be kept in private. After a few weeks had passed, they basically excommunicated Ben from the group, and they had nothing more to say or do with him. So obviously, from what Ben had told me, he was like, look, I'm just gonna go ahead and post the art that I wanted to post and to begin with. I have no more connections to them, so why would I care what they think? And he posted his art. He said nothing, he mentioned nothing about them, he didn't throw any shade towards them. So the fact that they knew he did this was very concerning to me, that they were following him around still. So it led me to believe they were being very vindictive to begin with. And Toasty also admitted to me when we had discussed, and he apologized to both me, Ben, and Oneoffshowman, aka Sh1t, who had also been dragged in by Tobi by the end of this, that this also had happened. Unfortunately, it was a voice call, and I don't really feel comfortable with secretly recording people. And also Toasty plans on making a video at some point in time, as he has told me, kind of just going over this whole thing and letting it be known. That's what he told me. I haven't spoken to him since, but I feel like it's important to mention him because he was a part of the story, and I'm not trying to slander him or anything else. I'm just letting it be known that he was a part of this, and he was also kind of the reason why it kind of went chillaxo. So anyway, going back to the main story, him, Slimsurz, FuschsiaButter, Madlibs, all those people, and some minors who were following them, are friends with them, wanting to get in on the action, were basically just going after Ben, calling him a pedo, just going at it, being catty. And basically, it was just chaos. And after a while, For the first half of the saga, Slimsurz and Toasty Vanilla had their flawed arguments, and people went back and forth, bringing up how petty and sus stuff was that they drew or supported people drawing. There's a whole thing where Toasty liked lewd baby nut. Someone drew lewd baby nut, the whole meme of Mr. Peanut dying, he became a baby. He also was a big supporter of Shadman. Slimsurz deleted their slanderous tweets and basically moved on. They had a weird way of moving on. So first they were like, hey, this is just lolly Sh1t stuff, it's weird, but you should be able to draw what you want to draw. They were very at the mindset that they didn't care, and then they later deleted that tweet, and then they came up with this new tweet saying that there were pedophiles in their mentions, and that's why they deleted the tweet, which I found odd because looking at that whole thread that I did, I saw no evidence of any sort of any pedophiles who were at least open or anything, or any maps or whatever you want to call them, going after them, and I'm like, doesn't seem like it happened, but if they say it happened, it may have happened. Bottom line, it stopped. Slimsurz stopped and removed themselves from the situation. So basically, even Toasty admitted himself the situation was petty, and everybody pretty much went their separate ways. We either agreed on some stuff, we disagreed on other things, and then we agreed to disagree, and everybody dispersed by day 2. Day 3 occurred, and Tobi started to get involved. So already, like, girl, really? Why? Basically, Tobi added Ben the Looney's Not Suitable for Work profile on her own page, on her own Twitter page, and she exposed her minor audience. And the only reason I know she exposed her minor audience is because there are tweets of her minor fans saying, hey, that's not suitable for work. Why are you adding me this? I wish you would have gave me a warning on this. And it's like, this is not only expressed on her Twitter wall in real time, but Kai and Nia's video, the first video they made on Tobi, expresses this. It's like, okay girl, you gonna talk about exposing your minor fans to all this, like, pornography? Come on, girl. Like, they didn't want to see these things. They were angry, they were frustrated about it, and at the same time, Tobi was battling with anti-yaoi, anti-BL people. And she was handling it abysmally. She was going on people's comments, just basically calling them stupid, just being over the top. And even though we deal with aunties, I'm somebody who is a big fujoshi. I'm a big person who loves yaoi BL. I'm all for freedom of drawing and expression as long as you are not harming anyone real or you are not depicting anyone real. I don't care, but I don't go after people like this. And then she had her own trans drama she was going on with, so people were already piling that on top of her. And she was deciding to respond to all this on her Twitter. She was recommending her minor fan base, who we already established beforehand when she added Ben the Looney, calling him a pedophile and telling her minor fans to go to his page. She was recommending them yaoi titles that were actually depicting underage relationships or characters who were underage being shipped with older people. She recommended Harada. Harada is a notorious artist within the BL community. I love Harada to death, but Harada's themes are very much adult. They deal with mental health, degrading to the point of just insanity. She wrote an actual story about how a child molester lived through the cycle of being molested, and then he ended up molesting and victimizing another child to a continuous cycle of just self-destruction. A lot of the stories, even if they're kind of lighthearted, they're very raunchy, they're very not suitable for work, something a minor should never even step foot in to be recommended to by a grown person anyway. She recommended Junjo Romantica. Most people know Junjo Romantica, they know about Misaki and Usagi, but there are also 2 other couples in the series. There's Hiroki and Nawaki, and then there's Miyagi, and I forget the little 17-year-old kid's name. Miyagi is like a 40-year-old professor who was married to the 17-year-old character's sister and then divorced, and now he's attracted to Miyagi. So if you're gonna call Ben the Looney a pedophile for drawing a character he claimed himself was aged up and was just a short stack, why on earth are you out here supporting and telling your minor fans to look at a yaoi that involves an underage character being with a 40-year-old character? Mind you, this is based on her logic. I'm using her logic. I don't give a shit what people read, but I do care when you're recommending minors this, because you have made it clear that you have had minors. This was all going on at the same time while she was encouraging her 16-year-old fan to confront me and another not suitable for work artist who were trying to tell Tobi, hey, stop slandering people. And she encouraged it, saying that they were smarter than us because they were calling us out. And they admitted to us that they did not at all want to be involved in not suitable for work things. So we basically blocked them, and it was end of story. And then I'm assuming they blocked us as well, whatever. Bottom line was Tobi was instead prolonging it so she could have a sense of vindication. She could have a sense of being the queen of her little army of minors. They were minion minors, basically. And she was using them and exploiting them to feel a little 2 seconds of validation. And it was very disturbing to me, and we may have kind of jumped the gun in regards to saying that she might have been portraying grooming behavior, but that felt very groomy to me. And I only were my suspicions confirmed when a minor who was only 15, 16, he outs himself very proudly as being a 15, 16-year-old artist and animator, a YouTuber. I will not be revealing this minor's name, but he actually directly talked to me, DM'd me, tried to bait me into talking about not suitable for work content on Discord when I asked him his age, because he was very sus to me because I didn't know this person from a hill of beans, and their name was very familiar as to something that was already on Twitter. So I was like, how old is this person? Also, I was tipped off by a friend who actually knew this kid and had had run-ins with him before, talking to not suitable for work artists and trying to bait them like he's some side of Ben Shapiro of the Western art community where he kills them with facts and logic type beat. I was like, okay, how old are you, kid? And he refused to give me his age. I said, are you coming from somewhere? Like, is somebody trying to get you to message me? He tried to play it off, like, not really. And he was trying to, quote unquote, psych me out. So basically, I was just like, all right, kid, leave me alone. Stop talking to me. He kept DMing me, trying to get me to, like, talk more. I talked a little more, and then I straight up blocked him. I put out a beware on him because he kept doing it afterwards on Twitter, and he clearly had something going on. I later found out from Toasty that this kid actually was trying to be a part of this because it was quote-unquote peer pressure. But he did state that none of the fruitcake clique at the time, whether it be Tobi, Madlibs, all these other people, they didn't directly tell him to do anything. He just wanted to be a part of it because already Tobi was using minors to fuel her argument. So obviously you want to be a part of it, and they were influencing this kid. Mind you, kid wanted to do what he wanted to do, but he was trying to step into territory that I was not comfortable with him stepping into. So already, that's kind of why we were on edge, because already we had kids trying to confront us and talk to us who were on the quote-unquote side of Tobi and her friends. So it was very strange. But I'm just letting you know, she's telling people to go and read these yaoi. She recommended a prison RAPE yaoi called Underground Hotel. It is a good story for an adult to read. But to recommend children this was very strange to me. She recommended a Gengoro Tagame work. He is a bara gekomi artist. Basically, his art delves into a lot of body horror and subjects which are not for the faint of heart. It's almost like Guro, looking at a lot of his works. He only has one work that has ever been put into an award ceremony about my brother's husband. It's a very sweet story, but you can't just give somebody a Gengoro Tagame work that's actually acceptable, one of the only acceptable works for general audiences, and just say, ha, go nuts. Because somebody's going to see that work, think, oh wow, this is a great work. And then they go and find his name, and then they find all of this just abysmal stuff. This body horror, this guro, just some have called it homophobic fetish porn, is what a lot of people have called it. And it's like, don't do that. You're irresponsible, but you're over here slandering an artist, calling them pedophile, and using the word pedophile like it's candy, just throwing it around so carelessly. And then you get angry when people are confronting you about you drawing Shoto Todoroki in a BDSM being abused when his whole plotline is him being beaten by his father. So yeah, it's not a good look. Like, they were lenient on you. They just brought up the drawing. I'm bringing up all of the can of worms on you. Like, they don't even know half the stuff Nia and Kai Weiss. They were very lenient and very graceful and merciful with what they brought to the table about you. I'm out here giving the full deal. You could have stopped then, and you would have been spared, at least at that point. But now that you're trying to slander Kai and you're trying to slander Nia about stuff that they were pretty reasonable on and gave you a chance to kind of defend yourself in a way, you butchered it. And now you're gonna get the guns a-blazing. And mind you, this was bad for a number of reasons. Tobi claims to be a yaoi addict. She claims to be a part of that fandom. And we stride onto ourselves on dispelling misinformation and presenting ourselves as decent people. But she was literally coming off as a fujo shit. And as a result, she's pretty much been condemned by a lot of the yaoi community, at least the ones I am, closely talking to. And there's a reason for that. She also tried to paint me and a few of my friends as quote-unquote maps and aunties who were defending pedos because we told her to stop crucifying Ben the Looney when you literally do the same thing. She also decided to blackmail a friend of mine known as Oneoffshowman or Sh1t on her very public sex work account. Well, let me tell you right now, her sex work account is very public. Her Pornhub, her Twitter, her Instagram where she posts is very public. She's never once hid the fact that she's a sex worker, even on her own channel. When I used to kind of sort of watch her on and off back in the day, she was very vocal about being a sex worker. She made a video going against a Toasty and even said she was a sex worker to her minor fans. So she has never hid the fact that she is a sex worker. Her Twitter was very much public until Sh1t, my friend, came to me scared that he was going to be attacked by Tobi when he had never talked to her, he had never interacted with her. He blocked her because apparently, not just from him, but several other sources have confirmed that Tobi gets loud, she gets indignant, she gets very unstable when she is crossed, quote unquote, or people disagree with her. So he didn't want to deal with that. And she decided to use her sex work account to basically circumvent the block that she received on Twitter to basically threaten Oneoffshowman, aka Sh1t, about being on her side in this whole argument because she wasn't getting enough support from her minor followers, and basically strong-arm him. Nothing short of threatening to ruin his good name and slander him through the mud if he didn't submit to her petty whims. And here is the official screenshot. This is what Sh1t or Oneoffshowman sent me, and this is exactly what he was feeling. And if you don't believe me or take my word for it, and obviously I wouldn't want to speak on someone's behalf, here is what Sh1t sent me in order to say his piece on the situation right now.
Hey guys, this is Sh1t. Yes, that Sh1t and that Sh1t.
Sh1t, I was also going to do a video on him. Don't worry about him. He's just a stupid little beta cuck who doesn't like any controversy, even though he loves to stab people in the back because he's a fucking little beta cuck.
Because what's a better way to make a memorial for your dog than to shit-talk random people on the internet? Anyway, Tobi, you threw around serious accusations at me and my friend. I used to be friends with her because we played Animal Crossing for the Switch and we both had autism. So it's like, hey, we could bond over that. That is until her more problematic friend Toasty and her decided to witch hunt my friend Ben. I wanted to remove myself from the situation, so I blocked Tobi because I was scared that she would drag me into this. And what do you know? She drags me into this. And no, I did not leak your sex work account, Tobi. I shared that message with my friends because I was scared. And to be fair, you were going to blackmail me. In other words, commit a crime? So you deserve to be called out for that. Apparently, Tobi also made an apology video, but, it's a little hard to trust someone after they witch hunt your friend and they tried to blackmail you, just saying. I guess all I could say now is quit being an auntie and shift your attention on real problems. Like Toasty letting minors flirt with him and enabling it. Oh wait, Toasty's not friends with you anymore? I can't keep up with this shit, man. I just want to play video games. You know what? I'm not even going to try to give you advice because you're not going to listen to me. You're not going to listen to, like, anyone that dares to have any sort of, like, debate or argument on something that is so broad. Fuck Shane Dawson, racist child grooming piece of shit, and thank you, Minty, for everything.
So just to be transparent, I asked Sh1t if he wanted to expose her or call the cops on her. He opted to expose her because it was already going on and it wasn't like it was irrelevant. Plus, in our experiences with dealing with police officers when it comes to online debacles, online discourse, they trivialize it very much. So unless they are just directly saying your name, screaming a threat at you, and even then, they're very skeptical. Let's just say modern day police do not take internet drama, internet discourse that leads into dangerous territory very seriously. They take face-to-face interactions and face-to-face threats more on the scale. So basically, me and a friend of mine who were artists posted it, and almost instantly, funny enough, Miss Tobi Majestic changed her name, her sex work name, mind you, and she tried to do damage control like she's doing now with Kai and Nia, basically putting a whole community tab post on her YouTube trying to slander Trent, but she didn't take into account that I am very active on YouTube, and I was actually tipped off by one of her former fans about this incident because they also saw it transpire, and they knew me personally and knew that I had this evidence at the time when I posted it. So they sent me over there, and I basically rebutted with what we have now, basically saying that she did blackmail him, and why would you use your sex work account if it was so secret and you were so secretive about being a sex worker? She tried to paint Trent as some scumbag who leaked her sex work account for fun and giggles, but in the end, it ended up backfiring in her face to the point that she deleted everything, and then she proceeded to use her poor dog Buddy, who had passed away from cancer, and even I took aside our current beef, our current whatever we were having at the time, to wish her condolences about her dog, and she decided to disappoint me even further by using the last 5 seconds, 5 minutes, it's hard to tell, it was so painful to watch, of her video about her dog Buddy to basically continue the slander on Trent, continue the slander on Ben the Looney while she is doing the same things, and thus recreating the cycle again and continuing to be the blatant piece of shit that she really is. And it was very disheartening because she used her dog to do this. She used her dog as basically a meat shield to do this with. He'd passed away, she'd been going through all of this, but she didn't have enough empathy for her own dog, who she claimed was one of her life mates, like a soul partner for her, to basically just put aside the beef and just say, I don't want to do the video, it's not worth my time. She could have said that. Still would have been passive aggressive, but it wouldn't be her hiding behind such a heartfelt video with all of that mush, all of that love that she put into the dog, and then try to use that so nobody will come at her. People think Tobi's dumb, but she's actually smarter than you might think. She just doesn't know how to execute it properly because she's under this monolith by her friends, and her fans have never been told no. From what I hear from some of her ex-friends, if you tell her no, you're basically about to get a death wish, and you're about to get a death warrant from her, and she basically excommunicates you and goes off on you. Several of her friends have had scuffles with her, so they just don't disagree with her. See, if I was her friend, I would have been told her all this shit she's doing is wrong, and she needs to lay back. But, like I said, she has a bunch of yes men in her circle. So after this, it's all going and said and done. And she still stands Shane Dawson, by the way, which was a poignant fact that Kai and Nia had made clear. And I also found it very odd that she wants to play on this moral high ground. She claims to stand BLM, but she continuously defends, even to this day, Shane Dawson. I don't know why. I don't know what she has for him. I don't know if they are like a secret couple or something, if there's like some weird poly thing going on with her, Shane, and Shane's boyfriend slash husband. I don't know what's going on. But she is adamant to defend Shane Dawson till the end. Adamant. And it's very interesting to me, based on the leaked screen caps between her and Nia, that around the time she came for Nia, or to Nia, about this situation, at least about the creep show thing, and then that conversation transpired, it was right around the time she was dealing with drama with me, Ben the Looney, and other people who had called her out. Ben the Looney got help from big drawing artists who don't even partake in drama. Sh1t, all of those good artists. He had friends on his side who were there to bat him up. Tobi had nobody. Nobody of any significance, nobody of any good standing to back her up, and she was going around talking to these drawing channels, trying to get damage control done for stuff that she knew she was wrong for, and she thought this blackmail stuff wasn't gonna fall through. They thought they were gonna believe the innocent woman who's a sex worker, but it didn't fly, honey. And I'm here to tell you right now, if you still support Tobi Majestic after all of this evidence you're seeing, then I don't really know what to tell you. Like, you must be madly in love with her, under her spell or something. She might have put a hex on you or something. She likes to play around with that stuff in her kinks and things like that. I don't know what to tell you. And this video may not do a damn thing to her career, her reputation or whatever, but at least the truth will be out there. And I hope that if somebody looks back on this video 10, 20 years after Tobi has done something significantly worse, I pray she doesn't, but does something significantly worse, and they look back at this video, be a warning to you, or at least something of reference, because I'm sick and tired of people like her getting away with the bullshit that they do. Now, on to her friends. Madlibs is just somebody who likes to be nosy and interject herself into things that do not bother or concern her. I believe she's a minor. I think she's a minor. I'm not sure. Do not quote me on that. But she's somebody who's constantly tagging around that whole fruitcake clique. Tobi and FuschsiaButter and ZZ and all of them. She likes to tag around, be included. She likes to jump on things. She really don't have a say in a lot of this stuff. I don't really have too much dirt on her, but that she is in some of these servers where allegedly her friends have been conversing with minors, doing sus things with minors. FuschsiaButter, on the other hand, has a bit of more of an extensive history. I wonder how FuschsiaButter would feel if some of her friends and fans found out that not even a little over 6 months ago, she had her own Discord server, was in a lot of hot water, to the point that her own members had to make a physical video calling her out because she wouldn't take any criticism within the server. Basically, where she's allowing minors to admin her server and deal directly with not suitable for work content, which include lolicon and shotacon, which is something she claims she can't stand with Ben the Looney, and that's why he's a pedophile, and that's why when she made her video promoting her Patreon, trying to get as much money and clout from it as possible to make sure that she got all her friends to promote it, all of her fans to promote it, only to later delete it when this came out. Why are you going after Ben when you were fine with lolicon and stuff being put into your group, to the point that your fans had to make a full-on video addressing it to you because you wouldn't listen to reason? Plus the fact that you actually allowed people to be IP doxxed by a favorite member in the server because for whatever reason he was a big-time favorite of yours, and you just didn't mind it. You have all this time to micromanage what Ben the Looney was doing and be up in there and kiki and haha with Tobi and the rest of the gang, but you didn't have time to manage your own server? That's irresponsible, Lou. Fuchsia, that's very irresponsible. So it does beg the question of, if you're going to make money off of a illegal contraband, what you consider, why are you not holding the same energy for your minor admins on Discord? I don't know. So y'all been friends for a pretty long time. I just don't know. And I don't know why Tobi never called it out. She didn't at FuschsiaButter and say FuschsiaButter is a pedophile. Because maybe that was her friend and it's okay if it's her friend and she can kind of silence it up. But you didn't count on your friends keeping that link while it's unlisted, still keeping that link. I don't know. It's pretty complicated. Also, both Tobi and a few of her other friends were in a server that Slimsurz, ironically enough, was a part of as well. Toasty has since told me it's not his server, even though the name is of him. It's like a joke thing or whatever. But I was invited to this server, and I was automatically put off. I didn't really post in there because I found that there were minors in this server, as you see in the picture, where these minors were calling themselves underage pimps. They were making jokes, they were drawing lewds of what quote-unquote would be kid characters, or very similar to what kid characters would look like. And mind you, based on the logic, this was not posted not too long ago. These were posted like within the same year. And I'm just like, what is going on? They're out here wilding with minors, and Tobi was in this group for a while, but then she left. I don't know why she left. Maybe she had a change of heart, or maybe she was just too rowdy and dysfunctional for the group. I'll never know. But she was in this group, and she was allowing this to go on. Like, and one of the minors I actually physically knew, the one who called herself the underage pimp, she has made it known that she is a minor. To most people that she meets, she makes it known. And Toasty even admitted to me that he knew she was 17. So I don't understand why Tobi would be fine with this if she's not fine with Ben the Looney drawing whatever he wants. Very, very strange to me. Now, I just hate that I have to even make this video. And I really just wish Tobi would apologize and just take responsibility for what's been happening. Just please do. And I'm sorry I'm kind of fumbling over my words, but it's unreal to me how somebody can backpedal this hard, go out and slander people so far, to the point that even your response is getting a massive like to dislike ratio, honey. And you've even got people like Hotbox, who's really lighthearted and friendly. Like, you got him hot in the seat, bro. You literally got this man in the Hotbox. Like, you gotta stop this. I just saw and watched Nia's response video to the response video, and I say she's pretty much solid. Like, she even owned up to the stuff that she may or may not have messed up on. I personally don't think her quote retweeting somebody who was clearly trying to be shady and passive aggressive, was that petty, but she wants to own that L, and that's definitely on her. And Kai Weiss, he was the whole person who inspired me to even consider talking about this horrible things that Tobi has done, and that she's not just some nuisance little wannabe YouTuber, that she's actually kind of on this high scale of just bad. Like, I was there for her whole 5-minute rant on standing Shane Dawson. I still don't know why she's standing Shane Dawson. But anyway, long story short, as far as the whole Shoto Todoroki thing, I feel like that was a cop-out. She definitely has watched the show. You can't be a yaoi fan and not know about some of the top ships that have been going on, like Todoroki and Midoriya, Todoroki and Bakugo. Like, that is one of the top ships up there. Like, it is very popular. And to be into yaoi and not know that a shonen anime that takes place with the main characters, such as Shoto Todoroki, going to school as a first year in high school. Their class is named Class 1A and rivaled with Class 1B. You didn't think that maybe they were a teenager? Like, Todoroki is a top student. Like, he's not gonna get held back. That's definitely a cop-out, and for anybody who tries to defend that, you're stupid. You're very stupid. It takes 2 seconds to Google Shoto Todoroki. She could have did that. And the fact that she said she didn't want to make it sexual. BDSM is inherently sexual practice. She highlighted it, not suitable for work, and BDSM. So that's 3 strikes against her already. Like, let's be real. That's an odd flex. She's somebody who's a sex worker, but she doesn't know about sex. It's kind of funny how she claimed that beating the shit out of a kid is BDSM. Using a black person's hand, mind you. I don't know what that was about. I don't know what her weird thing with black people and trying to present her characters as black. I don't know if that's a Doja Cat profile picture or whatever is going on her Twitter. But it's funny how she likes to pretend and be with the whole black thing. Then she turns around and accepts people who literally disgraced black actors and made them literally pretend to eat feces for shits and giggles. That early 2000s humor, as you said, Miss Tobi. Oh my god, this is already getting into like 30 minutes long. I'm trying not to make it long, but I just gotta get this all out because I've been trying to stay quiet with it, but it's not working. It's not working. These Western artists are so hypocritical. If there's anything I've learned from this whole drama and fiasco, is that YouTubers on the Western art side are very hypocritical and strangely drawn to just like shitting on like anime artists and the whole Shota thing, when meanwhile they have actual groomers in their circle who are some of the loudest proponents outside of like Tarhead, who are the loudest proponents against lolly, Shota, yaoi, all that stuff. So it's very strange to me how they got time to be coming after folks for drawing some drawings that harm no one, mess with no one. You cannot like a drawing. You can think that it's morally awkward or morally reprehensible, but as long as it's not hurting anybody, I don't see what the issue is. Like, let people have what they have, block them, get them out of your lives, but to try and drag them through the mud and slander their name and accuse them of being things that you have no proof whatsoever, and trying to manipulate the law when literally the US was like, oh yeah, these are unconstitutional laws. So in 2011, when they even tried to charge a guy with having quote-unquote drawings that were drawn CP, as Miss Tobi likes to claim, he didn't even get arrested. They didn't even pull through with the charges. They were like, no, we're not going to indict you because it's clearly your constitutional right. It's artistic purposes, so whatever. Nobody cares. Like, get over it. That's why the UN tried so hard to get Japan and the United States to make anime drawings illegal. And the US and Japan were like, no. Let's focus on the real things. Even the FBI, nonprofit child sex trafficking organizations who try to save children from being in these types of things, have said, stop reporting drawings. They are not real. We are trying to get real sex traffickers and real pedophiles. Why don't y'all go out some of these Twitter accounts that be out here sex trafficking children and sending megabytes of child porn on having like 8K followers? Why don't y'all go after those people instead of messing with people who draw shit and are the main people who are getting rid of these pedophiles and hate them and loathe them? Say we don't want them to interact. So with that being said, thank you for listening this far. If you have gotten all the way to this point, I hope I covered all the bases and whatnot. I have all the evidence. Again, if you want to look over the full file of evidence on everybody who was involved, then I have it linked in the description. Please let me know what you think, what your thoughts are. Like it if you like it, dislike it if you didn't like it. I just hope that this can kind of be the final closing chapter on Tobi and just seeing the wide scale of just how far she'll go to manipulate people and to paint a narrative that just isn't her in order to save herself from sticking her sticky little fingers in the cookie jar. So that being said, guys, peace, love, and stay grooving, humans.